Hello, everyone. It's that time of day. Welcome, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time of the day it is for you that you are tuning in here to my page today. And there is a link up above. If you want to join into the conversation, you just have to allow StreamYard access to your profile. So there's a little thing there that says StreamYard. You can tap on that, and then your picture will come up as a little circle on my screen, and then I will know who I am chatting with. So we are going to dive in today. The emotional eaters cookbooks for emotional eaters cookbooks can be very dangerous if not used correctly. So I'm just going to put this little ticker tape up that's going across the bottom there for you. And then I'm going to pull up my comments here. So when you jump on here, then I know who you are. If you are coming in here on the replay, do let me know where you are coming in from, because it's always very, very cool to find out where everyone is coming in from. When we can reach everyone so globally, it's very fascinating. So like I said, welcome to my page, to my community here, where I am creating a healthier you. So my name is Heather Edmondson, as it says right there. And I help others reach their health and fitness goals through coaching, mentorship, and accountability. So let's go kick those sugar cravings to the curb. So we are going to dive in here a little bit. So like I'm saying, if you saw my live yesterday, I talked a little bit about cooking shows or cooking channels, those types of things. And we're just going to kind of carry on with that a little bit into the realm of cookbooks. So yes, we talked yesterday about those cooking shows, and then now we're going to talk about cookbooks. So the principles are the same as with cooking shows or YouTube channels, as the same as looking at a cookbook. So when you are looking at a cookbook, you are diving deep into that danger zone, and the red flags should be going off, saying to your brain that maybe you shouldn't be actually doing this. It just makes you want to create and pick up that food and eat it. We were actually in the telephone or the phone store for our checking on our internet, and they had playing in the background on one of the screens, they had the cooking channel all day. And I said to one of the girls behind the counter, I said, how do you manage watching that all day, that you're not hungry by the time you go home? Sorry, my phone is ringing in the background there. I'm sorry about that. So I said, how do you manage by watching that cooking show all day, or cooking shows all day, that you're not going to be wanting a whole bunch of food? And she goes, I got home and I wanted a poutine, and I wanted a sundae, and I wanted pizza, and I wanted, and on and on. She goes, and it was all just because of what I had seen off to the side, and my brain was registering all this food, that she was like, oh my God, I was just craving everything. So the same thing works as watching those television shows or YouTube channels. It works the same principle as when you were leafing through a cookbook. Now, if you're actually looking through the cookbook and reading it cover to cover like it is an actual book, that is where the problem comes in, because then you were registering that all of that food and how it looks and how good it tastes, and you were visualizing in your mind, and you were creating a story. You're dreaming about this food. You're creating a craving for it, right? So we don't want to do that. It's fine to look through a cookbook or a recipe book for different recipes that you want to try, but don't try and leaf through the whole thing and then just like drool over every page that you're seeing. So if one reads a book from cover to cover, there lies the problem. Instead of maybe choosing a more healthier option, you are drawn to those high fat, high salt, high sugar options, high calorie options, because they look so appealing. And of course, the pictures that they put in the books, they're all made, and the lighting is just perfect, and they're all made to be very desirable and very, very tasty and scrumptious looking. So yeah, you're drawn to that. So if you sit there and read cover to cover just the dessert part of the cookbook, well, what are you going to crave? You're going to go to bed dreaming about all those sweets and all those unhealthy desserts. And you're going to wake up in the morning and say, well, what can I make today that's going to be like what I saw in that cookbook? And you start obsessing about this stuff. You go over and over and over again in your mind about all these different recipes that you have maybe looked at. So it becomes a fantasy world. Like I said, you start dreaming about it. what is that going to taste like? Oh, I'm reading all the different ingredients down the list, and you're starting to salivate over all of the different things that are being put into it. And like I said, before you go to bed, you're saying, oh my goodness, I got to go to the store and I got to buy XYZ to make this wonderful dish that I just looked at in this recipe book. So this is where we got to draw ourselves back, especially if we are an emotional eater, and take that deep breath and say, I don't really need to have that stuff. Yes, you can have it maybe for a special occasion or something like that, but then you got to be careful, because that can be just like an alcoholic or somebody that's trying to quit smoking or somebody that's addicted to drugs. It only takes one bite to send you spiraling off into that danger zone, into that down that rabbit hole again, because it's the straw that kind of breaks the camel's back kind of thing. So yeah, you all of those recipes look scrumptious and exciting and tasty, and there you go. You start telling yourself another lie. Oh, I can just look for one recipe, and an hour goes by or 2 hours go by, and you're still looking through this recipe book, paging through the pages and drooling over each page, and so on and so forth. The same thing, you can get caught up when you're looking at like a platform like Pinterest or something like that, where they have recipe after recipe and different groups of recipes and on, and you can get caught up in doing that as well, and salivating over all these beautiful pictures that they have of these things and stuff too. So we got to get out of that rut of telling ourselves a lie that I'm just going to only go and look at one recipe, and then it ends up an hour or an hour and a half later, and you're still searching for the perfect recipe. But actually what you're doing is you're telling your brain that you're feeding it with all of these unhealthy things. You are feeding that need to end up going and binging because of all of the things that you've looked at. It's the match that lights the thing on fire. It's like I said, it's the straw that breaks the camel's back. It sets you off down that awful path, awful journey, and that's the problem. Especially if you maybe even aren't aware that you are an emotional eater, but you eat when you're happy, and you eat because you're sad, and you eat because you had a bad day, and you eat because you and your spouse maybe had an argument, and you eat because your teenagers are driving you crazy, and you eat, and so on and so forth. That's becoming an emotional eater. You're eating for every silly reason. Every stinking thing is going to make you want to eat. Yes, we need food to create a healthy body, but we don't need to open our mouth and put everything in it that we see. So when you're looking through these recipe books, that can be that weak straw that breaks the camel's back. So it's also like you're kind of using it as an escape from reality. You're using it as a band-aid to your problems instead of actually facing whatever the problem is that you're having. Maybe the problem that you're having dealing with a teenager issues. Maybe it's the problem of dealing with having some of your kids home right now, and they're making you want to gouge your eyes out. So you want to run to the fridge or to the pantry and empty out that whole bag of cookies into your mouth, anything like that. So you're looking at a recipe book or at a YouTube channel or at a Pinterest or something like that, and scrolling through the recipes as an escape, just like how some people like to escape into a novel, or how they like to escape into a smutty novel, one of those little romance novels, because it's an escape from reality. It's not a true picture of what reality is like. I'm not saying that you can't ever go to a recipe book and actually pick out a recipe, but just try and search for the more healthy options. If it's a recipe book that's going to set you off on as a trigger and send you down the path of going, down that rabbit hole again, maybe don't have many recipe books in your home. Maybe just go on to the social platforms that are out there and actually search for that particular recipe, of the one that you need for that day or for that week while you're meal planning out your meal. So stop saying you're just going to read a recipe. You got to keep yourself in check. Or you would have you ever looked at a recipe book or searched the Pinterest or YouTube or whatever and done it until you want to put everything in your mouth, and you end up eating until you feel sick? Now I can't say that that's happened for myself, but I know some other people that it has happened to. And so you got to help break that habit of, like I said, reading those books or looking through those social media platforms and filling your brain with all these things that you believe that you need, to be a band-aid to a situation of something that maybe you're trying to cover up or trying to deal with. And your way of dealing with it, instead of running to your bedroom and pulling the covers up over your head, it's to put food in your mouth. So we have to realize that this is a true and real problem for many, many people. I haven't eaten till I've made myself sick, but there are people out there that have. So you want to keep yourself in check. When you see yourself reaching for something like that, just to read, to soothe yourself, like a little child sucks their thumb, or they hold their little teddy close to them, or they throw their blankie over their shoulder and they don't want to give it up. You want to be able to give up that need to read page after page after page in a recipe book, because it's just a trigger that's going to send you off down that awful, awful dark path. And we want to break that habit. So keep it in check. Remember that maybe is something that triggers you. It can be tempting. If it's tempting you, or if it's a trigger, don't read it. Don't let it sit there. It's like bringing the food into the home. Maybe it's the chips or something that really sets you up as a trigger. Well, then don't bring them into the home. Don't have them sitting there in front of your face and setting you off down that dark path. So maybe don't read those recipe books. Maybe you need to have an accountability buddy. Maybe you need to call up that friend and say, oh my gosh, do you have a recipe that I could use so that I don't have to go and look through the recipe books? And always realize that there's consequences for every action that you take in life. And you are the only one that can make the choice for yourself to pull yourself out of this dark rabbit hole. And yes, it can be hard. And yes, it takes work. And yes, it takes strength and courage and confidence in yourself to believe that you can be a better you and become a healthier you. So that is the whole goal here of me in this platform and on my page here, is to help you to become a healthier you. And it's your responsibility. It's your choice. So choose wisely. Make those decisions to help you achieve your goal. So it's up to you. I leave the ball in your court, kind of thing. And my little quote for you today is, we are not given a life, a good life or a bad life. We are given a life. It's up to us to make it good or bad. So it's like looking at the cup as half empty or half full. It's how you perceive that. It's how you appreciate things and have gratitude towards the things that you do have. And it's you got to find the positives, even if there's a negative there. So if you are interested in having a little assistance to help you along your path, I can provide you with a 30-minute free coaching call. I also have some PDFs of some healthy recipes that I can send out to you. Just hit me up and I will send them out to you. Send me a private message or whatever, and we will get you hooked up with that. And tomorrow is a big day. I have a very, very special guest coming on tomorrow here at the same time as we are right now. And you aren't going to want to miss that, because it's going to be a big one. And I'm nervous because, oh my goodness, it's going to be so exciting. Okay, everyone, have a good day. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.